Hey guys, this is Eric Weingauer with Weingauer Racing. It's Sunday. Usually I do update videos on Saturday, just got busy, which you'll hear about in this video. Biggest update I can tell you right away is about the small block Chevy Cam Challenge. So yesterday, the reason why I couldn't do an update video was because I was in Arkadelphia watching my son swim for Henderson State at their meet. I texted Brad at Kuntz to ask him, hey, what's going on with the engine? He said the new dyno, they're working some of the bugs out, but the engine's done. So as soon as that gets worked out, we'll have a better idea when to do it. I don't know when it's going to happen because if you think about it, we got this week, and I think the following week or the week after is Thanksgiving. So we're pushing into that. Then after that, you got a week, then there's PRI. Then after that, you got like a week, and then there's Christmas. So I don't know. Obviously, I wanted it to happen before now, but, you know, things just happen. It's beyond my control. But anyway, I'm going to show you some new heads that I have coming out, and there's a huge head sale. Usually I don't do this till like Black Friday, but I'm starting it now and end at Christmas Eve. I really just need to get some of the heads out of the shop. Sorry about the noise. This mini split's about to drive me right up the wall. Turn on the heat for the first time and it decides it wants to squeal like a pig. Anyway, let me show you these heads. We'll start with this. These are small block Chevy heads, but this head right here is one of my most popular ones. This is a 210cc full CNC ported. Now, this is not my port design. These come from China. They're CNC ported over in China. They're assembled here, so obviously they're bare. I'm going to assemble them. But anyway, these have a 65cc chamber, 210cc intake runner, and they flow 288. Every head I sell gets a flow sheet, so that's the other thing too. If you buy a set of heads from me, you get a flow sheet with it, an actual flow sheet from the heads that you bought. These are assembled for hydraulic roller, and they'll come with a spring like this. This is a pack spring. We don't use Chinese stuff on this. This is a pack spring that comes with it. It's a dual for hydraulic roller. They'll be on sale until Christmas for $16.50 for a pair assembled. Again, you get a flow sheet with that. This one is different. This is a used set. If you watch my last videos, you know that I went down to see Bob McVay, and we did a lot of dyno testing there. This is actually one of the heads that was tested on there. This is my 232cc. This is my port design. This is based off of ProMax Project X casting. So if you got one, you could send it in and I can have this port program put onto it, by the way. But the reason why I'm selling this is because this is actually obsolete, because this was the very first one I did. We've done some redesign on this port program itself, so it's a little bit different than what this one is. So doing any further testing with this head would be pointless because it's the updates are a little bit better. Anyway, you can get this assembled. So you can be just as is, as it ran, and this made 620 something horsepower with the hydraulic roller on Bob's 427. But it's assembled with these springs. They're beehive springs, 180 pounds on the seats. They're pretty stout. 232cc intake runners, 67cc chambers, $2,000 assembled. And that's full CNC ported just as they are. So they're as is, everything's good. Vacuum test them, they're all cleaned up, ready. But this is as far as clean up as they're gonna get. I ain't gonna do anything anymore. But yes, they did make power. They made 595 horsepower on a 406 with a hydraulic roller camshaft as well. So they work well. Anyway, again, these are used, but $2,000 assembled. They don't come with rocker arm studs with guide plates, although I'll sell them to you because we ran shaft rockers on this. But if you want them, I can sell you them. They're not that bad. And then this is the other head that was used at Bob's. So this is based off of a dart casting or a dart imitation casting. So if you have, say, a DNA head, because that's one I haven't tried it on, but the heads look so similar, it's probably going to be fine. If you have a DNA head, you know, got it off Amazon or whatever, you have an Assault Racing head, you have an AFR Enforcer head, the old one, there's probably, NKB heads from Skip White. All those I can run the CNC program through. So this was also tested at Bob. Now this one's a brand new one. This isn't the set that was used at Bob's because obviously Bob's kept the ones that they used. They used a JEGS head also. That program ran through that. These made 593 horsepower on the 406 and it made 625 on the 427. They have a 227cc intake runner, 208 intake valve, 1600 exhaust valve, 66cc chamber, and they can be larger, by the way. Right now, the disadvantage, I've got one set of the angle plug in stock, and I cannot get any more because of the supply issues, or people, I'll be quite honest with you, because of the tariffs. I'm just saying that. Because of the tariffs, and this is the Chinese casting, since they kept bouncing around the prices, none of my warehouses where I get these, and this is universal, have decided to buy anything from China because they don't know what the tariff's going to be. So if one day it's 70%, the next day it's 30%, they bought it at the 70, and then some other company buys it at the 30, then they can't ever do it. So they're just waiting to get for it to level out, then they'll order some more stock. There's a bunch of straight plugs I can get. I can get no angle. So this is the last set of angle that I can get. And don't think I'm blaming any policy. I'm just letting you be aware of why that no company is ordering the stuff, is because they don't want to be stuck with something that cost them more than someone else getting it later on that waited and it got cheaper. It's just how it is right now. But anyway, this set assembled, and depending on how you want it. So if you want it for a solid roller, it's for a hydraulic roller, it's $2,850. For a solid roller, it's $3,000. Yes, they're expensive because it's still a lot of work that goes with this. So the castings are somewhat cheaper, but then there's a lot, just telling you. And I use rev valves in this, pack valve springs. That's the reason why it costs more. Obviously, I could sell the head cheaper if I use less for stuff. I'm just not going to do that. I'm just not. So anyway, the castings are fine and everything else. Right now, speaking of this, because Bob did order one, Bob got the set of the jegs. And by the way, again, if you got the other heads that are cheaper, you would save yourself a considerable amount, about half the money, if you send in your heads. Sorta. But anyway, send in heads. This program, we ran through it. But I want to show you this because it's going off. That one I just showed you was designed for a 4155 bore. This is getting ready to get sent off to get digitized. This is for a 4030 bore. See, Bob's building a 383 and he's going to sell it, and he's going to use the head too. Well, I bought the last set of angle plugs I could find. But anyway, this chamber will be a 4030, so it's probably going to flow a little bit less, but it will fit the 4030, 383, 350 stuff much, much better. So that one's going to get sent off to get digitized. I still have to put clay up here so the probe doesn't get stuck in it. Anyway, so yeah, it'll have the same intake and exhaust, just as chamber shortened. This is actually designed for a 4155 bore. It's also got the steam holes. Not all have that. Anyway, let me show you some of the other heads, because this one's brand new. So I know this is all Chevy stuff, and you're like, oh, let me show you this. This is brand new. So what this is a Promax head, and I did the port design for them. So you can buy this head through Promax. This is for the small block Ford guys. What they did is more than a year ago, I think, at this point, they had sent me a Project X 210, which is the same one that I ran on my 408 dyno mule. And I ported one for them, and they had it digitized, and it became this port. And I have to say, I worked my tail off on this program because I was trying to get it to, because this head essentially stock anyway. It's almost identical to the AFR 205 Renegade, right? The full CNC one. So I was like, well, I can definitely beat their 220. Well, it took a lot of work. I can get it to match. I can't really get it to beat it, which was very, very, very frustrating. Because when I did the program, I was like, this is so infuriating. I'd spent like an entire week, and this is as good as I can get it at this time anyway. But so here, let me show you. So this is a 208 intake valve and a 1600 exhaust valve. I didn't do a 210 1570 because although AFR does that, Promax will have a harder time getting a 1570 exhaust valve. So they wanted a 208 1600, and then they ended up flowing relatively close to the same as the 210. So anyway, this has a 225 cc intake port. And like I said, I did a lot of work on this thing. It looks beautiful. And I wish the 427 dyno mule that I used for doing all the testing for the camshafts, it has a set of my CNC trick flow high port heads on it. Those are fantastic. They're a way better step above this. But this is more like your stock replacement style, not where you'd have to have a high port type of header and stuff. But anyway, this doesn't flow near as much, but I really am curious to see how much power it makes. But I like it. I did a lot of work even this week because I got the very first ones. I mean, I think someone else probably has them too, but Promax sells these. I sell them too, and I will tell you I'm different from Promax because this part does kind of infuriate me. Whenever I did the port and everything, I designed it with a back cut. So because Promax puts back cuts on valves, or used to. Here lately, every time I get like my 235cc CNC head from Promax, that's my design, I order the head from them. It's all assembled. I take it apart, and there's no back cook, so I'm going to flow it. I'm like, oh man, it sucks without that. So then I've got to redo some stuff. So the reason why I charge more than what ProMax does for these is because I'm going to probably redo the valve job. Their valve job is fine. So for instance, this is their valve job, and this was very infuriating this week too. So this valve job on the intake, I gave them the cutter profile and everything. And that valve job seals up. They do a great job of getting that to seal. That is 100% the same cutter and everything I use for the intake. It does leave a little notch here, which you can see on that one right there. But I'll tell you why it gets infuriating in a minute. This exhaust, though, is absolutely 100% not mine. This might be, as far as the valve job profile here, but this notch in the chamber was never that way when I got digitized. Never. Did not look like that whatsoever. It flat out did not look that way. So I don't know what that is or what they copied or why they did that, but the model was not sent out that way. Here's where it gets infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. So I flowed it just like this out of the box. And I'm like, okay, let's just fix some of the stuff. So I did this. I just blended this out. That's it. Blended it out, blended it here. Guess what? Lost flow. Lost exhaust flow by 10 CFM. Picked up peak by about 3 CFM, but at 400 it lost like 10. Just doing that from that. Yeah. Same with the intake. That one, painful. It lost from taking this out, which never has happened. So eventually, after about 8 hours of work, I put my own different valve job on it. And this picked up at 600 for sure. This is still the same. I'm leaving it. I know it doesn't look pretty, but pretty doesn't make power. This looks right. This flows more. So anyway, 225 cc port. It's large, but like I said, it's a stock replacement style head, so it's going to match the high ports. It just isn't. And you're limited by the casting and what you could do anyway. Not that there's not enough material, but it's just not. You don't have enough bowl depth. There's a bunch of things that are just different, that aren't as good. But it's a great head. What's it flow really? 325 at peak. It flows about 318 at 700, around 315. You're like, well, wait a minute. They have a 210 that they claim that flows more than that. It does not. It flows 288. It just does. Here's the more different thing about it. This is different, and I am proud of this. This is my exhaust port on this. If you notice, it did a little hourglass thing. Well, AFR used to do that on their 220s. It used to look like this because they had this bolt pattern here. If you get an AFR 220 now, this bolt pattern is removed and this is square. So they made the port itself bigger for the exhaust. This exhaust port moves 234 CFM without an exhaust pipe attached. That's pretty good, especially for a Ford. So really, really good. I could tell you this. The intake flow and exhaust flow, it pretty much matches an AFR 220. It just does. You probably could save yourself some money if you bought them from ProMax, but if you buy them from me, they're a little bit better. Anyway, if I had the 427 Dyno Mule that has a trick flow high ports on it, it's at Kuntz right now because I want to see the dynos compare. But as soon as that gets done, maybe I'll test a set of these. These are for a customer, so I don't know. I'd have to buy another set and also get rockers, but they are available through ProMax or through me. Again, they're not. They might be cheaper. I don't know what the retail is on from ProMax because it took a while just to even get them. They're not even on their website. They're probably at PRI. It's a nice head, but I think pre-tariffs this is probably really reasonable. But I don't know about it now. But anyway, I'm really excited about this head. This is offered through me and whatnot. Anyway, let me go on to the other stuff. This is another new head of mine, and it's a Dragon Slayer for a small block Chevy, but I've done something different. I've offered a deal for several people to get an R&D head so I could do research and development and they have a chance to buy it after I get done testing, which someone has. This is the very first one that's come off. So as you know, I offer a Dragon Slayer a bunch of different versions. So like the stud mount version, that one is pretty good. It's good, but don't confuse it with being best of the best. It just isn't. So if you're thinking it's going to wipe out everything, it will hold with a lot of heads, no doubt about it. But is it going to beat everything the stud mount? No. So then the next version up, which is the one we ran at Bob's, it just requires shaft rockers, but it requires a sportsman rockers, which means there's something called an offset on the rocker arm. But essentially, you have to have a 300 offset, which is barely any. A 250 is a standard offset, so 300 is just a little bit more. Anyway, that makes that pinch here bigger, and it makes a little bit more power, blows a little bit more air, makes a little bit more power. Both of those are just standard valve spacing. But now, which that one's getting ready to come back probably this week, I've got that same version, but in a huge pinch like this. So this is not the standard version, which we'll get to, but right now I'm working on the standard version that has a 2.9 square inch pinch, because the others are like 2.7, the 300 offset, and the stud mount's like 2.64, something like that. So it's a bit much smaller. The current version that's getting worked on is 2.9. The disadvantage, and the reason why I don't do that on everything, is because of cost. When you make that pinch bigger, like this one is, you have to run the more expensive shaft rockers. So to keep costs down for customers, I offer different versions. It also makes less power when you do that, when you don't have as big of a pinch, but it's kind of is what it is. You got to do what you got to do, right? So anyway, that's one. Then we step up to a different valve spacing, which is what these are. These are a 40-60, which means the intake valves moved over 40 thousandths and the exhaust valves moved over 60. They both, all of them run the same intake valve size at 2125, but now I can run a 1.6 on this. This has a different chamber design that's completely different than the standard valve spacing one. It's the superior one. And I've got a regular version that just requires a Sportsman shaft rocker from Jessel to keep cost down. But this is the new big one. So this one has a 2.9 square inch area. This is brand new, it's the first one off. So I'm still going to make some changes. I'm constantly evolving it because there's some things I could do a little bit better here and there. As far as flow-wise, it flows identical till 700, then it starts gaining quite a bit. So the pinch itself, you would think, gains a lot of flow. It doesn't, but what it will do is make more power. Again, though, it requires a bigger shaft rocker offset. 450 if you're running a 180 offset on a lifter, a 550 if you're not. But this is the first one, and it is awesome. Very, very proud, but there's some changes that still have to be made. And here's what I mean, like, what are you talking about? What changes have to be made? When you get your very first ones, there's some things you're like, man, what happened? So, and this is one of them. You wouldn't even notice, but see this? Okay. See that? Right there. Now, you won't see it in any other ports. We'll go to this next one down. You won't see that mark. And yeah, it doesn't always clean up, by the way. That gets sanded. What that is, it's blistering. Because as they cast these, and by the way, this is a special casting, so you can't just get a regular Dragon Slayer and have it 40-60 spacing. No, you have to have them sand the core, which is what I've done every time on these. And it's the reason why the 40-60 costs more, is because they have to do, Brodix has to do more work. And I get charged for that extra work to make this happen. That's the reason why they cost more. So you can't do it in a standard one. You have to specially order this stuff. But anyway, on the pushrod slot here, they're not uniform. So plenty of material here, this one, but only on this one side right here is not. So this has to be welded up and then run the machine through it, and we recut it. And that's what's going to happen with this one. But this is the very first one. I'm very excited about it. I still have a bunch of other things I want to try. So there's a lot of development still on this 23-degree stuff, which you're like, why are you bothering? No one's really doing that. There's still a huge 23-degree market that's out there. But hopefully next week's video, you'll get to see the brand new LS program I have for the small bore ProMax LS3 head. And it's my own, because I think I'm going to go pick that up on Tuesday. And that'll be done, because that's the one that's going to get the back cut test we can get to finally do on the dyno. So there's a lot of stuff coming up as far as that. And also the big block heads that are getting ready to get digitized as well. But there's just more stuff. Anyway, thought I'd share some of that with you. That's the biggest thing that's going on as far as that, is the cylinder head development here. I'm never happy with things, and thank God for customers that want to do research and development where I can keep playing with things, so I can keep trying different things, because Bob was nice enough to let me do that. And trust me, that's the reason for Summit helped me out with this block, and Kuntz helped with the machine work. But once that gets put together, literally every version of the drag, all of my heads will be tested on that engine. And it's a little bit spicier at 13.5 to 1. It will have a nice solid roller this time in it. And we should see the differences in power with them, because I'm literally going to test everything. I'm going to test every version of the Dragon Slayers I have, the stud mount standard version, stud mount 300 offset, standard valve spacing, the 2.9 cross-section standard valve spacing, the 4060 with the Sportsman rockers, this one, which is the 2.9 version, and probably some of the others. I'm going to switch up and try some different stuff, because also I've got this one, and all of the Dragon Slayers are this way. They have a raised exhaust port, but I have one that's got a lower exhaust port height because I want to see if that does anything. It pulls about 10 CFM less. The casting cleans up much better, so you would never, that's the one thing that's better about that one. That head is like this. I have to hit it with the cartridge roll, so it kind of looks prettier. The other one, it looks fantastic. It just has a shorter exhaust port height. All of them are absolutely perfect. There is no shadows like this. But we're going to test that version too. And some different manifolds to go with each one. We'll get kind of crazy. By the way, if you think that this one with the 2.9 cross-section is the biggest version I have, you are incorrect. Let me show you the biggest one. This is my biggest version, and by far costs the most. Like, this head alone is probably about $7,500 for a Dragon Slayer. So yeah, it's very expensive. This has so many modifications done to the core and stuff to make this even work. So a lot, especially in the water area. But anyway, this one has a 3.2 minimum cross-section area, which is huge. It's huge. This thing's big. It's not a raised runner either, as you could tell. It had to fit rules. But just to give you an idea, let me look at that. This is a 2.25 intake valve. So the same you run on a big block. 1.550 exhaust valve. So, but anyway, yeah, it's big. And it flowed, I think, 391. And I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and look at the notes, but that sounds right. It might be a little bit more. But yeah, it's big. Biggest version, but yep. It's really cool. It's cool for sure. So, but insanely expensive. Don't call and ask me any details about this unless you're willing to pay $5,000 deposit. Otherwise, no, don't call. Don't call and ask questions. It's about the most I'll give you. That should just about wrap up everything. It's just been busy ever since I got back from Bob's. It's just trying to catch up here. You know, if you got a small business, you understand. Just try not to lose everything you got. Trying to keep up with orders getting messed up. That's for sure. That's been all week. Stuff's been coming in wrong. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. As far as PRI, it looks like I'm going to that. I don't know that we're going to have like a round table like we did for the Cam Challenge last year, where like we didn't reserve a room. Chris Straub set that up last year, and I haven't been in contact with him. We've a little bit of a disagreements on things. But anyway, in all fairness, because I haven't done the small block Chevy Cam Challenge, doesn't really make sense. But maybe something will set up like that. But really, honestly, I just try to be a host and let them guys talk, because they know so much more about camshafts than I do. So that seemed like it was a very successful thing. I mean, I think it'd be cool to have another one, but I don't know how to set up any of that anyway. But it looks like I'll be at PRI, walking around, maybe just talking to a few people, just kind of getting away. But I got to get a lot done before then. So the shop's so busy. So I've been doing 12-hour days just trying to catch up. And then, so we went to go see Bishop swim yesterday. Well, 2 days ago, I guess. We left like on Friday, and we stayed Saturday too. So amazing, get to hang out with him and see him. His team's very, very fast. They won again. So I think they've beaten everybody in their division. So when the championships come, there's a chance they could win the championship for their division. He's showing signs of progress. He does not have a new PBs, no. But there's times where he looks like really, really good. Like, this is the earlier part of the season, even though it seems kind of weird. But they're still training, so it's really hard to... You cannot judge him looking at these swim meets, because they literally work out in the mornings and they have the swim meet in the afternoon. You would never do that. No football team does a workout, a practice workout, a whole practice workout, come back 2 hours later to play the game. They just don't do that, but swim teams do. They save their best for when they go to a conference, and that's when they rest them up good, and they only swim like one event a day. So I think when he gets to that point, he'll be good to go. But he's doing great. It seems like everything's going well. Yeah, things are just fine. I'm so happy I have him for a son. He fills my heart, that's for sure. But anyway, he's going to be home for Thanksgiving, and I ended up buying a new smoker, because I'm going to try smoking some stuff again, because my old Pit Boss igniter went out, and I was so frustrated with the thing, I just gave up and just bought a new one. Yeah, I know I could have fixed that. But I'm hoping to smoke some stuff for him for Thanksgiving and have a great thing for that. That's my next big thing. Till then, I'm just trying to get as much work as possible. Please buy heads. There is a Black Friday sale that I've been having forever that most of you know about, where from Black Friday on to Christmas, I have where any head I sell, besides my CNC stuff or hand port stuff, you get it for $150 more than what it cost me, only during that time. And there's always a catch because someone screwed it. I have to be able to talk to you on the phone so they know you're not a scammer or someone trying to rip me off, because that happened one year. Watch the videos for that, but that's pretty much it. And also remember, they're not in stock, and so you might have to wait to get the head that you want for that cost. But that starts Black Friday, and it's only by email, not by call. If you call, I will totally ignore you, and I'll probably hang up on you. So it's only by email. You email me, then you have to have your phone number in there, because I will call you if you're actually interested. But anyway, right now the one sale though is that 210 head that I showed at the beginning. Just I need to get room in here in the shop. It's too busy. So yeah, that's what's going on. I wish I had other stuff that was happening that I could tell you, but it's pretty much been just behind the grinder the whole time, which doesn't bother me a bit. Anyway, if you have questions or anything, just let me know. Put them in the comments. I guess the biggest thing I'd tell for you guys is email me. Email really does work better for communication than phone calls, because typically on a phone call, I'm a dick, and you're like, well, you shouldn't be. Probably for the first 10 years or so, I answered every call, and I would talk to them fully. And my wife, because I remember one time it was like on a Saturday, and we were going to dinner. It's like one time a week we go out to eat, right? And I got a call, and I just stayed on the phone for like 30 minutes. I was sitting in the parking lot of this restaurant dealing with someone, and she's like, what are you doing? The guy isn't even, because he's asked me about questions about stuff he bought from someone else, and all the answers could have been answered in a Google search, but I use Google when you could call me. And anyway, I spent the whole time with him and wasn't rude or nothing like that, because I did that for like 10 years, because I was just like, I'm going to help out anybody. And I got off the phone, and she's way nicer than I ever am. She's like, what are you doing? These people aren't even buying anything from you. You're wasting your time. We could have already been in the restaurant. I'm like, well, I was just trying to help the guys. Like, they ain't going to buy anything. You're helping them. You're helping some other company. You're not even helping you. You need to stop doing that. And then, so I was like, but I kept doing it. And then we went to, I think it was like a bishop was going to state, to swim at state in high school. And so my sister's in the car with me, got another call, same situation. And she's like, Eric, stop. You got to stop. They're just sucking the life out of you, man. They're never going to buy anything from you. You're just giving advice to others, and look how much time you're taking away. We all could have already been sitting in the seats. And she was right, and they were right. And then from that point on, I was like, this sucks. Not doing that. So if you literally call me, usually like, you got time for a quick question? I'll go, are you asking about something you bought from me or something you're going to buy from me? And of course, they're always going to say, no, it's something I'm going to buy from you, which we all know you're not. You would have emailed. But that's the first question you get asked. And if I think you're jerking me around because you just want some information for free, I usually turn right into it. But if you're like, no, I really do, I can give you my email address right now so you can send the invoice to pay, then I'll take you way more seriously. But I just cannot do that. Looking back, I'm like, I do think that there were times where I definitely gave up my time to help somebody that did not do any business with me ever, and probably ran their mouth down on me anyway for something, instead of I could have been with my family. So really the best way to get a hold of me is through email. That lets me know you're serious, because if you took the time to email me, then I try to take time to answer your question. Although I will tell you too, and this is straight up honesty, I don't answer all the emails too. So I'll answer probably 99% of them. But there's always that 1% where I'm like, this guy just wants something for nothing. Or this guy's asking me a question that literally, if you just type that same question in Google, you would have an answer. Or if it's like something I really don't sell and don't want to, because People think answering emails is not that big a deal, or answering phone calls is not that big. Bull crap, because even if you tell them no, it never ends at just no, okay? So say, for instance, someone asked me, because this happens a lot, do you do Nissan or Japanese Honda heads? And I'll say no. And my response would be like, no, I'm straight. That's what I want to say every time. And but then that'd be offensive, obviously. But they'll be like, oh, why don't you do it? What's stopping you? See, you can't just end it no. It's like, why don't you do it? I'm like, well, so then I don't have the tooling to do valve diameters that small as far as the stems for the guides for my seat and guide machine. I don't have a flow plate to do it. What if I bought it? Because they think it's like cheap or something to do. No, each plate's like $500 or $600. The bore is another $300. Oh. And then if I told them the final thing, how long would it take? Because that's really the next question. You're looking at about 9 months. They're like, well, I ain't got that long, because that's half the calls too. You get on a phone call and they're like, what's the best head for this 496 blah, blah, because that's something I sell easy, right? 496 blah, blah, blah. Well, how much is it going to be? And you tell them price. Okay, and they're a little hesitant. They're like, well, how long will that be for you to do all your work on it? And you tell them the time. They're like, oh, that's too long. Anything worth doing is worth waiting for. So I already know you're just wanting something right now, and you're going to get some piece of crap head, and you'll call back later to want it ported when it's like a month before your race season, thinking I can just drop what I'm doing and get it done in a week. It ain't gonna happen. But that's how they go. So if you're wondering why you're so mad on the phone, there's just more to it. And I probably shouldn't even have said this, because the people that really need to hear this never make it to the end of the video anyway, because I don't know how many people have called, because this is my favorite thing I've done. They'll call and ask me, hey man, I got a set of 781 big block Chevy heads. Can you do some port work on it? You guys right know what's about to happen anyway. Because I usually start with, I'm a big fan of yours, man. I watch all your videos, man. I love your videos. I'm like, really? You watch them all, do you? She's like, yeah, man, it's great. Good. I'm like, what's the last video you watched? And they'll tell me in the video. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Did you watch it all the way through? Oh, yeah, I watched it all the way through. Okay, do me a favor. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to hang up. I'm going to hang up on the phone with you right now, but I want you to go back and watch that video, but watch the last 30 seconds. Just watch the last 30 seconds. And they're like, why? Just watch it. And if you still want to, I'll still answer your questions if you call back after that. If you still want to call back after watching the last 30 seconds, I'll answer your question. Because at the end of every video is I don't port cast iron heads, but I will get people that ask that. And then, see, that's the reason why you can't just say no either. They're like, well, do you know anybody that ports them? No, I don't. I don't want to recommend someone anyway, because then you're going to complain to me if they don't do a very good job. So no, I don't. It never is just a no. That's why emails are better. Because then if I could respond back to you, I mean, even in emails. I had some guy complain about the flow bench stuff, and I wanted to write a long thing, and I was like, nope, because that just leads to them responding, and then I think I need to respond back. So best just to delete. And then it's out of my brain. Because it ain't worth the time to do that. But anyway, I went way too long with this ending. So yeah. Yeah, that's what's going on. If you guys have any questions or anything, like I said, email me. If I get time, I'll answer them. I do need to do this. This is something I will do. I probably need to do a live feed about the whole testing with Bob and stuff, because I know you legitimately have questions on that an email would be inconvenient, because obviously you're not making any money, but you guys really want answers for that. So I probably will do a live feed, I don't know, maybe this week or something about it. I'll definitely do a little video just to remind you that it's happened about it, to talk about the testing, so you can ask actual questions about it, like why did you do this or this, and what happened with this and this, and that sort of thing. Speaking of which, since you made it this far, I think what I'm going to start doing on the very first day of December, I'm going to repost some videos, but in a shorter format. So here, let me explain. I've done all these dyno tests, and right now the PDF bundle is $150, but you get literally every dyno test I've ever done. I don't include Bob stuff in there because I don't know if I have permission to include it in there, for one. So that stuff's not in there, but you get every bit of the dyno tests I've ever done. So buy that. The link will be in the description. Anywho, I think starting in December, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all those dyno tests, and I'm gonna look at little test things that was done. Like say, for instance, all the manifolds. And I'm going to shrink it down into like a 10-minute video, and I'm going to release one each day in December all the way to Christmas. Because they're all really just redone of those dyno tests. Because so many new subscribers have, because they'll ask me, Because I actually had someone email me about this Brodix dual plane for a small block Chevy, and they're like, I haven't seen you test it. It was tested. It was in one of the videos. You'd have to go back and find it. But they don't know that because they just subscribed and they didn't watch for years ago to see that. So what I'm going to do is I think in December, I'm just going to pull out the most popular ones and have each day you'll have a video. So all days of Christmas, but it'll just be over the stuff that's already been done. Anyway, I made a short video longer, but guys, thanks for watching. Remember, I am no Superman. I did raise Superboy. That's for sure. Hell of a kid. And I don't port cast iron heads. I don't respond, this is the other one, to Facebook or Instagram messages. Because every single one of them, and I do mean every single one, are asking a question you could Google search. And if not, they're asking a question about a video that they can go watch of mine. Or it's something they've already bought. I never have, probably never will ever have a business. I mean, I have the business Facebook page, but I will never respond to those because they never lead to a sale. It's a waste of my time. So don't. You can email me and I'll answer. Facebook and Instagram messengers will not respond. Best way to get a hold of me, email me at winegardenracing@gmail.com. And that's it. You guys take care.